So,
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's very
Is it
difficult. We know.
is it my top five albums or just five albums that today sounds as good as it did when they first came out?
Your
uh,
top five. Your top five nowadays.
okay, yes,
Okay, my top five nowadays. Oh boy. I wish I had time to think about this.
It's yes, it's more difficult, but it's more interesting.
yes.
um, okay, I'm not going to do this in any order. I'm just going
No,
to
no, for
Okay?
sure.
yeah.
No, no, no.
Of course.
But
Um,
you have to tell a story for each album. Okay?
I would have to say in again, not in any order.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with Devin Townsend's Empath, the last album from Devin Townsend.
Yes.
Um, we're not friends. We are associates. We are we are acquaintances, but we are not. We I've never met the guy, but we know of each other. We have a huge respect for one another, and so we follow each other on Twitter, and sometimes we say funny things to each other. And when I was I heard I've been listening to his music for years, the Strapping Young Lads and some of the other stuff that he's done. And so when I saw all the hype going on for the new album, I was very interested to listen to it. And so I reached out to him, and he was nice enough to send me a copy of it because 3 years ago we were managed by the same manager as Devin. So we
Mhm.
had an even closer connection. So he said, I would love for you to listen to it, of course. And he sent me a copy. And it was one of these things that when I first heard it, I couldn't believe what I was listening to because that's normal with Devin. Normally he blows your mind, but this was
Yeah.
another level of mind blowing. And I listened to it, and it sends rush down my body from the first time I listened. I had to listen again, and this is where I started really hearing some things I missed the first time. And each time I listen to it, it's kind of like it's like watching a classic movie like The Godfather or the original Star Wars. It's something that you know so well, but every time you see it, you see something new. That's what it was like listening to this
Yeah.
record. And I wrote to him and I said, man, this album is like a modern day Sergeant Pepper. The same way
Ha,
the Beatles took it to another level with Sergeant Pepper,
wow.
I think Devin took
Wow,
rock
yes.
music to another level. So I'll start with that album because that album in my mind is going to live through many years to come.
Did he
Let
reply anything to you?
Sorry?
Did he reply
Oh,
anything to you?
he said, "Well, I think what you say your assessment is ridiculous, but thank you very much." Because when you give somebody a compliment like that, it's really hard. I know I'm the same way. If you get a compliment that big, it's really hard to process. No, you can't compare
Okay,
me to
okay.
this. When people tell me I'm the next Freddie Mercury, I say, "Shut up, fuck you." There's no fucking way. Nobody can replace Freddie. Nobody will ever be as good as Freddie. But thank you. But it was nice. But no, yeah, it's impossible.
Okay.
So
I think, sorry, Jeff, I think I know why you like this album
yeah,
because it has too many vocal layers. The wall of
yes,
sound of Devin.
yes.
Spirits Will Collide is an amazing song
Yeah,
with a youth choir that
exactly,
that reminds me of Queen and all
exactly.
that vocal layers and the panning
Right.
in
He did.
uh,
He
in
did
all the
so.
control room.
He did so many extremes for the process and the layering of that record, and it literally is like taking a flight to the moon or to Mars. There's so many layers of what it takes to go from the
Yeah,
Earth to the moon that it's almost like you take that ride there and back.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
love
that's the
about this record.
concept. That's the concept of the album as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The space
Yeah.
and religion. It
Yeah.
blows your
Exactly.
mind. Space and
Yeah.
religion.
And
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's amazing.
it's truly like taking a trip, and that's what I love
Yeah,
about this record. So,
yeah.
uh,
So
Okay.
number five, Empath.
okay, so I have to really think about this. It's
Yeah.
difficult to just pop off. There's one album that in the early '90s, I think it was '91 or '92. I don't remember the year it was released. Today,
Okay.
to me, it still has the same excitement than when I first heard it. I love this band's first album, but when they did the second album, again, it was a game changer. I listen to it today, and it still blows my mind. The band is called Jellyfish, and it's their second album called Spilt Milk.
Okay.
Every single note, every vocal, every word, every note, every last production piece is it's a trip. It's a mind blow. It has all the elements of the things I grew up with as a kid, from the Saturday morning cartoons to the TV shows to the pop music, the Partridge Family, the Beach Boys, Queen, Cheap Trick. It has all these
Everything.
elements of the 70s, and they rolled them out somehow and made it contemporary into an album in the 90s. And to me, when I listen to it today, it's still as exciting. So
I can
Spilt.
Okay.
understand. Yeah, I can understand how you know so much about the 70s while you are 25 years old.
Well,
Yeah.
again, thank you very much. I'll be 55 in November, but thanks.
Okay.
And just to even add to that, to what you're saying, I actually listened to a lot of 50s and 40s and that kind of music when I was a kid. But in the early 70s, I love 50s music.
Yeah.
I loved all that, everything from back in, Elvis Presley in the 50s, the Big Bopper, Bill Haley and the Comets. I loved all that pop music from the 50s that my mother grew up with, because she listened to this in the house. So I was influenced. And then when I was in school, I was influenced by the next wave of my own generation. So I was very well rounded, and I love Motown. I love soul music, Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson. I mean, all these things
Yeah.
really embedded into my blood way before rock. And it was much later in my life. I actually didn't like rock when I was a teenager. I thought it was noisy. I thought it was. I hated Kiss. I hated Ted Nugent. All the things that my friends listened to, I hated it until Journey came along, until Toto came along, until Foreigner came along, because you had these singers that were more of white soul. You could hear the Motown and the R&B influence that they were putting into rock music. Steve Perry, Bobby Kimball, Lou Gramm. It was the list is endless of these guys that came out. Mickey Thomas was another one. You can hear soul in. You can hear that they listened to a lot of black music when they were young, and now they were putting it into rock and roll. And that was my introduction to rock.
I have to
Indeed.
tell you that about 15 years ago, you have done an acoustic show in Athens, Greece.
Yeah, I remember.
2005, I think. It was a 2 day show, one electric show and one acoustic.
Yeah.
And it was then that I saw you performing some of Journey songs, way before Soul Circus, etc.
Okay.
And yeah. And I was amazed by the way that you have interpreted Steve Perry in your voice.
Well,
I was listening to Jeff Scott Soto,
Yes.
but also Steve Perry's ghost inside him. And
well,
yes, it was something amazing for me. And Apocalypse, of course.
and this is
Kudos,
one of
kudos.
the biggest
Yeah.
compliments and the biggest validations as a singer that I ever got in my life was from Steve Perry, because even when Journey fired me, he came to my defense. He did an interview like a year and a half later,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how it was silly for them to let me go. I could have been the future of Journey, and I was the favorite singer that they chose after him. So that to me was the biggest compliment as a singer I could ever receive, because Steve Perry is my hero. Steve Perry and Freddie Mercury those two guys are my gods as a singer.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Okay.
let's go
So
to
it's number
three.
3. Yes.
There's one I'll start it right off. Van Halen. Van Halen number 4. The album's called Fair Warning. To me, it was the ultimate. Okay, the classic first album. You can't touch it. You can't replace it. The second album was it's almost as strong as the first one. The third album, they were trying some things. It was a little shaky, but when they got to the fourth album, Fair Warning, it was another world. Today, I listened to that album from beginning to end, and Eddie was at the top of his game. Everybody in the band was at the top of their game musically and song-wise. I love this album. So Fair Warning from Van Halen.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go to
So
number 2.
2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, I have to give my boy Freddie and the guys in Queen some love. So if I have to choose one Queen album,
Only one.
yeah, impossible. And I'm cheating if I choose the greatest hits. So
No.
1, 2, or 3.
yeah. I probably have to go with Sheer Heart Attack.
Sheer Heart Attack. Oh,
Yes.
You would think I would choose The Night at the Opera or Day at the Races when
Yeah.
they were already as big. Sure Heart Attack was the best of where they came from on the first two albums, and the best of where they were going on the next albums. I think everything that they culminated from Killer Queen to bring back that Leroy Brown. They were showing the world they were more than just a rock band. They could do something like Stone Cold Crazy and something just really mellow and just silly almost. And this was showing you that this band was not going to be limited to just doing one style or one genre of music. And this is one of the reasons I get asked this question a lot of why I've done so many bands, why I'm in so many albums, why I can't just stay with one thing. And I have to say, I have to blame it on Queen, because Queen were they showed you that you don't have to put walls and boundaries in music. You can do pop, rock, opera, blues, jazz, country, disco, funk. They did everything, and they did it great. And this is one of the reasons I try to do so much in my life musically, because I don't want the world to see me as a metal guy. I don't want the world to see me as an R&B or soul or a pop singer or an AOR singer or A&R singer. I don't want the world to see me as just one genre. I want the world to see me as the kind of all the spectrums, the colors of the rainbow, the colors of the flags. I want the world to see me with all these different cultures that I was able to inject into my own music. And this is one of the reasons why I do so much. It's kind of the same reason why Mike Portnoy is doing so much after Dream Theater. You know, he felt he's in one band, and he was in this band for more than 20 years and doing one genre. They did a lot of stuff in their genre, but when he was out of Dream Theater, it's like, now I'm going to really do everything that I always wanted to do with every genre that I love as a drummer. And this is the same reason I do so much as a singer.
Yes, but
Okay.
Mike doesn't have boogie nights as you.
Yeah, you see, and there you go. And that's just another inflection, another side of me that I want the world to see. But if I was only doing boogie nights, I would feel like I'm cheating myself, because I want to do Iron Maiden too, and I want to do Townsend, and I want to do Queen, and I want to do Journey. So it's the reason I do so much in my life.
So do it
Okay.
all. You can.
Yeah, do it all. Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's go to number one.
There's another artist that's just as diverse, and another one I have to blame. I have to point the finger of diversity and style and class and musicality and musicology, in fact. And that artist is Prince. I'm a massive, massive Prince fan. When I was with Yngwie Malmsteen, they used to laugh at me because all I ever listened to was Prince and that whole Minneapolis sound that was big during that time. And I was very influenced by it. You'd think I'd be listening to only Dio and Maiden and that genre. When I was with Yngwie, I was listening to all funk and only funk. I loved bands like when eventually Extreme came out, Living Color. I loved the way they were Dan Reed Network. They were putting funk into rock, and to me that was the most exciting time for music. So Prince, I have to give him a nod because the album Sign of the Times, it's a double album, and it really showed him flexing his muscles as a musician, as a writer, as a performer, as a producer. All these things on that album, he really opened up his musical flag.
He's totally the artist.
Yeah.
Yes, the
used to
artist.
say.
Yes, yes,
Of
yes.
course, of
For
course.
sure, for sure.